Welcome back. You're watching Bonitas House Call here on SABC2. Mkhaiso, dialogue. Ga wa latlhega le seng go rogile ka tlhamana le mo Bonitas House Call. Thulaganyo ya gago ya mmamoratwe mo mosong wa la matlhatso. Gompieno re tsere dikgang le mokgaka o di rileng go ka tlala seatla mo mererong e mentsi mo nageng e ya Afrika Borwa. Basetsana Kumalo. Now let's have the X-rays because I think that will now give our story a bit of context. Now this is now I studied sports medicine, so I spent a bit of time in orthopedics. Now, this is an ugly fracture of the ankle. Now, how do you sustain this?
First of all, I mean, Doc, let me tell you actually what the fracture is about. I mean, I'm telling a good learned friend here. So medically, it was explained to me that I had a complex comminuted fracture and a dislocation of the right ankle. And the injury included a spiral fracture of the fibula and lateral malleolus, and also it included an oblique fracture of the medial malleolus.
Medial malleolus.
There you go, you see. And also a transverse fracture of the posterior aspect of the tibia.
Yeah, no, this is serious stuff. So both your tibia and your fibula, which are the long bones that make up the ankle, were fractured in more than one place.
In smithereens. And then, of course, I had to have 11 titanium pins inserted and a very long plate. And this basically happened, I was at my son's school, it was a rainy day, he just finished playing at noon, you know, at a school concert, he was playing the piano. And I literally left my office and I said to my CFO, Clifford, I'll be back in an hour. I was never back at work for 3 months.
And then the newspapers weren't that
Oh, there was that story too. There was that story too. People are creative. People are have got creative imaginations. And so the school had to rush me.
I mean, you're walking.
I was walking in the school courtyard.
Was it raining?
It was raining.
Okay.
It was the 17th of March. And that day changed my life for the better, and I'll tell you why. So basically, I slipped and I landed on the back of my head. I got concussed.
Yes.
I lost consciousness. I was rushed to hospital by the school, and basically for 3 months I was bedridden. I was on a wheelchair, had a cast, I had crutches, and it was a very, very life-changing moment because when you're bedridden for 3 months, when you're told you can't move, you basically just need to, you know, use the bathroom and just, you know, try to shower without wetting the cast. It changes your life. It allowed me to be still. It allowed me to reflect, to regroup, to reprioritize. Because I was very busy, especially, you know, before the ankle injury, because, I mean, I've got a lot of irons on the stove. But just being home for 3 months and spending time with my kids and my husband, it was life-changing. And then I made a decision to me and my God that when I wake up from this bed, I'm going to live fully. And people often say, something happened to you. You've come out of your shell. I realized that we only have one life, and that life is very, very short. In a split second, your life can change. And my life changed in a split second. I mean, some days are better than others. And the other challenge was that my bones were not fusing. So let me come to that point we were making before we went on to the ad break. So my bones were not fusing. I was in constant pain. I was on heavy, heavy painkillers. I mean, you name it. I had a cocktail of 10 tablets that I had to take every single day just to deal with the pain. And my husband said, no, let's go and get a second opinion because it can't be that, first of all, you're going to live on painkillers. But secondly, you're just in constant pain. And this was after I had taken the cast. I was in a moon boot and I was going for physio at Morningside 3 times a week.
This is how many months now after the injury?
So I got injured in March, so April, May, June. So in June, that's when I started to get a bit mobile, but I was still in pain even when I was mobile. So in July, I was then, you know, they did a MRI scan and they found that my bones were not fusing and that's why I was in pain. But there were also 3 additional pins that were actually literally gnawing at my bones, and they had to then take me back to theatre as an emergency to now remove the 3 pins, the 3 screws in essence, and, you know, to be able to then help me, you know, be weaned off the pain meds.
Correct.
There was not a pain drug that I was not on. At some point, I actually had to be injected, you know, just to relieve the pain. And they said, I mean, even the orthopedic surgeon who first attended to me at the first hospital said they've never seen such an injury. And I even remember when I got to the hospital and the head of ER was coming out, and I was in the car because the ambulance was taking long and I was losing consciousness. So one of the dads at the school said, no, I've got an SUV so I can lay down the seats, and then the sports coach, they rolled me on the rugby.
Created an emergency ambulance out of
and
that.
then so when I arrived at the hospital, I remember in my, because I kept on coming in, I almost was having an out-of-body experience. I would literally watch myself and then come back into my this particular form. And the guy said, it's impossible that this woman is still conscious. And I heard that. When I woke up, my file had a red sticker, resus. I had to be resuscitated in hospital. And it's been an incredible journey. And if I could go back to my son's school again and watch him play the piano with a heartbeat, without a shadow of a doubt.
But not the injury, obviously.
It presented itself, and I think it's helped me grow. It's stretched me to points where I did not know I had this resolute inner strength that I'd never had to visit before. It allowed me to just be still and breathe. I read a lot. I prayed a lot, I meditated a lot. It was a very sacred time for me that I would have never been able to plug 3 months out of my working schedule to say I'm going to go and chill.
This is before or after Bontle?
This is after Bontle. This is last year. Bontle was born in 2014. Yes, he's turning 3 next week. And so this was after Bontle. And to be...
So with all of this, you still had to nurse a baby?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Now, you're forgetting to tell us that. I mean, this is serious stuff. I mean, you're dealing with pain, you're dealing with the in and out of theater, you're dealing with many other issues. You are immobile, you cannot do certain things.
I can't drive.
And you still have the tribe. You still have the 2 boys and the girl to look after.
But you know what was amazing, Doc, was that my kids would come back from school, and they would still find me at home. They would leave for school, and I was there. And I remember Khosi saying to me, Mommy, it's nice to have you home all the time. And it's
but
those
the guys are innocent. They don't realize that this is not planned.
You know? And the thing is, I cannot complain. The people who can't walk, the people who are wheelchair bound, the people who are having their own life challenges. So I cannot actually have a pity party about it and feel sorry for myself. Yeah, I've got a couple of scars. So what is a scar, really? In the bigger context of the fact that I can walk. I was given a second chance to walk because the medical team told me that the way my bones had splintered, that if one of them, just a single one of them, could have pierced, not an artery, what is it?
A vein.
A vein. It could have been game over. And that's why my bones...
clot, pulmonary embolism, the works. But how do your businesses survive? I mean, in this period when you could virtually do very little by way of corporate work.
I'm very blessed that I've employed the sharpest, smartest, brightest brains. I've surrounded myself with rock stars in my property business, my mining business, and my television business, which is actually my passion business. Television will never make you retire and rich, but it's a medium where you can inspire, educate, and inform. And so I would have my teams come home upstairs into my room, and I'd have status meetings, on a weekly basis on the different projects that I was working on. And they were like soldiers. They rallied around me. They still shared and believed in the vision of what I was trying to achieve. And also it gave me an opportunity to never then be stressed about what will happen if I'm not here. You know, the vision will continue. You're as good as the people that you've empowered. And the vision will always survive because you've brought people in and who've believed in it and who've helped you achieve it. And so, I mean, there were times I said, but boss lady, just chill. We got this. The ship was still sailing in the right direction. And I'm very, very blessed that I'm surrounded by amazing souls. But I suppose it's in your style of leadership as well, that you find people that believe in what you're trying to create. I'm about creating generational legacies that will trickle down to a completely new generation beyond my time. Hopefully when I go home and I'm called, there will be some footprints that I would have left, made my little mark in creating jobs, in inspiring a new generation, in challenging people that they too can. Your history, your background, where you come from, how you were raised, does not define or determine your destiny. And so I'm passionate about life. And when I got off that bed, you bet I got out there, guns blazing. And I said, I'm going to take this life on and I'm going to make sure that I continue to make a difference.
Talk about a dark cloud having a silver lining. We'll continue our discussion with Basetsana Kumalo after the break.